Think Isekai is just overpowered protagonists building generic fantasy harems? Think again. Today, we are exploring 6 truly underrated and original masterpieces of the genre. Kicking off our list at number 6, Saga of Tanya the Evil. A ruthless Japanese corporate salaryman is murdered and suddenly brought face to face with a mysterious entity claiming to be God. Refusing to acknowledge this deity out of pure atheistic stubbornness, he is reincarnated as Tanya de Gurachaf, an orphaned young girl in an alternate universe resembling World War I Europe. Forced to survive in a brutal global conflict where magic intertwines with artillery, Tanya joins the Empire Mage Battalion. She climbs the military ranks with terrifying efficiency, utilizing her previous tactical knowledge and lethal magical aptitude to secure a comfortable, safe life while actively defying the divine being. What makes this series so incredibly refreshing is its absolute rejection of typical heroic fantasy tropes. You are not watching a noble warrior save the day. You are watching an unhinged sociopath manipulate military doctrine for personal gain. The animation studio Studio Nut delivers spectacularly visceral aerial dogfights that blend gritty trench warfare with explosive spellcasting. Tanya herself carries the entire show with her villainous charisma and maniacal expressions. It is a delightfully cynical dark comedy masquerading as a war epic, offering a wildly entertaining perspective rarely seen within this heavily saturated and predictable anime landscape. Moving into our 5th spot at number 5, Drifters. Legendary historical warriors from different eras are snatched from the jaws of death and thrown into a chaotic fantasy realm. Samurai Shimazu Toyohisa awakens in this strange land only to discover he has been chosen as a drifter, tasked with fighting against another group of resurrected figures known as the Ends. Alongside infamous tactician Oda Nobunaga and skilled archer Nasuno Yoichi, Toyohisa leads an uprising among the oppressed non-human races. Elves and dwarves are mobilized into a brutal guerrilla army to dismantle the ruling empire and halt an impending apocalyptic invasion led by the mysterious Black King. Created by the legendary mind behind Hellsing, this show drips with violent stylistic flair and unabashed historical madness. The art style is incredibly distinct, utilizing heavy shadows and thick lines that make every blood-soaked battle feel immensely impactful. What truly sets it apart is the sheer audacity of watching real historical commanders apply actual military strategies against dragons and magic casters. It is a high-octane adrenaline ride that never takes its foot off the gas pedal, delivering raw action and sharp humor without relying on generic overpowered video game mechanics to carry the narrative momentum perfectly. Breaking into our top 4 at number 4, Sunny Boy. During a seemingly ordinary summer vacation, an entire middle school building and its 36 students are suddenly transported into an endless void of nothingness. As they drift through strange alternate dimensions governed by bizarre physics, several students awaken to mysterious supernatural abilities. Nagara, Nozomi, and their classmates must navigate these surreal alien worlds while attempting to establish order among themselves. Stripped of adult supervision and societal norms, the teenagers fracture into opposing factions driven by fear, ego, and conflicting desires to either return home or embrace their new lawless reality, floating endlessly through unknown empty cosmic space. This is not your standard power fantasy. It is a philosophical avant-garde masterpiece from Madhouse. Directed by Shingo Natsume, the visual storytelling is profoundly artistic, relying on striking imagery and purposeful silence instead of constant dialogue to build tension. The animation flows with a captivating fluidity that perfectly mirrors the unpredictable nature of adolescence. It brilliantly explores themes of existentialism, societal rules, and growing up, demanding your absolute attention to unpack its complex metaphors. If you crave a deeply psychological narrative that challenges conventional storytelling boundaries while subverting expectations, this hidden gem is absolutely mandatory viewing today. Reaching the midway point at number 3, Now and Then, Here and There. Young kendo enthusiast Shu tries to save a mysterious blue-haired girl named Lala Ru from strange, heavily armed mecha attackers. He fails and gets abruptly pulled into a dying, sun-scorched desert world called Hellywood. This desolate wasteland is ruled by a psychotic dictator named Hamdo, who desperately seeks Lala Ru for her magical ability to manipulate scarce water resources. Stripped of his innocence, Shu is drafted into a brutal child army forced to fight in senseless wars. He must endure horrific physical abuse and severe psychological trauma while fiercely clinging to his unwavering moral compass daily. Long before the modern reincarnation boom oversaturated the market, this 1999 classic delivered a devastatingly bleak take on being summoned away. It pulls absolutely no punches when exploring the grim realities of fascism, child soldiers, and ecological collapse. The emotional weight is crushing, contrasting beautiful cel-shaded artwork against some of the darkest narrative beats imaginable. Shu stands out because his true strength lies entirely in his unyielding empathy rather than flashy magic swords. It is a harrowing, thought-provoking journey that cements itself as an unforgettable, traumatic masterpiece worthy of immense respect and continuous praise. Securing the runner-up position at number 2, Grimgar, Ashes and Illusions. A group of bewildered strangers awaken in total darkness with zero memories of their past lives except for their own names. They emerge into the fantasy world of Grimgar and are immediately thrust into the harsh reality of becoming volunteer soldiers to survive. The weakest individuals band together to form a struggling party led by Haruhiro. Lacking special powers or wealth, they must learn basic combat skills from scratch. Every single encounter with low-level goblins becomes a desperate life or death struggle for basic necessities like food, shelter, and clothing in this deeply unforgiving new hostile environment. Grimgar remains the most grounded and realistically portrayed entry in the entire genre. It strips away glorious heroism to focus intimately on grief, trauma, and the heavy psychological toll of actually taking another living creature out for survival. The watercolor backgrounds are breathtakingly gorgeous, providing a serene contrast to the visceral, ugly, and clumsy nature of amateur combat. You feel every loss and celebrate every minor victory alongside this vulnerable cast. Its slow, methodical pacing builds tremendous character depth, making it a profoundly rewarding watch for fans exhausted by invincible protagonists winning battles without facing any real consequences. And finally, reigning supreme at number 1, The Executioner and Her Way of Life. In this universe, summoned humans from Japan are known as Lost Ones. Instead of being hailed as legendary saviors, they are treated as catastrophic world-ending threats because their unchecked magical concepts inevitably cause massive disasters. Menu is a dedicated executioner tasked by the church to assassinate these naive wanderers before their powers manifest fully. Her solemn routine gets drastically complicated when she encounters Akari, a newly summoned girl whose unique concept of time makes her completely immortal and unkillable. Menu must pretend to befriend Akari and guide her while secretly searching for a guaranteed execution method urgently. Taking the number 1 spot, this series boldly assassinates the traditional protagonist trope right in its opening episode. It is a brilliant subversion featuring stellar world building centered around complex magic systems and severe religious corruption. The dynamic between Menu and Akari provides incredible suspense, blending genuine chemistry with underlying deceit and dark intentions. The animation studio elevates the material beautifully with highly kinetic combat sequences and vibrant character designs by turning the ultimate fantasy dream into a literal walking nightmare requiring immediate extermination. This fiercely original story secures its crown as the most criminally underrated isekai today. These 6 underrated shows prove that the isekai genre still has plenty of incredible original stories left to tell. Now I want to hear from you. Which hidden gem did I miss? Drop your personal favorite overlooked isekai anime in the comments section down below now.